good afternoon. This won't be a political exposé nor economical or else. This is about architecture. We are going to go back through some history to understand the variety and the richfulness of the Taiwanese architecture, but it will be in the name of the art. So let's take you to a little journey to visit my favorite country. First, let us place this exposé in its context. We are here in France. China is here, obviously, and we are going here to Taiwan, an island full of resources and with a complex history. Some of it is due to several occupations, which led to diverted influences, especially influences in architecture. So many different communities came by this small island. Let me get you through a little bit of history. The Austronesian people arrived from southeast China in the prehistoric time. The first external meddling appeared in the 17th century with the arrival of the Europeans. The first ones were the Portuguese, who called the island Ilha Formosa, meaning the beautiful island, which gave Taiwan the name Formos for a while. They were quickly followed by the Spanish and then the Dutch, who undertook the colonization but were driven out in 1662. Came a time when the Chinese people arrived. That period is a long alternation of rivalry between dynasties, mainly Ming and Qing. But with the defeat over the Japanese and the Treaty of Shimonoseki in 1895, China had to give away Taiwan, although the island was not theirs to give away in the first place. Finally, the Japanese lost the World War II and gave back Taiwan to China in 1945. So hence the many architect influences in Taiwan, enriching as much as can be this beautiful island and its history. If you recall the historical timeline presented, the first people to settle on the island were the Austronesians, the Mocha, who were indigenous descendants. At that time, they were caves, steel housing, stone masonry, and so many legacies of Austronesian architecture. From year 1624 until year 1662 was a time of expeditions and discoveries, and also the peak of Western colonization. The naval exploration and trade led the Europeans to Taiwan, where they sometimes built fortresses to consolidate their power in the ports. We can recognize the Spanish architecture in the first picture, the Fort Santo Domingo, built in stones, and the Dutch architecture in the next two pictures with red bricks. The Chinese influence might be the most influent still nowadays in the country. Indeed, you can see many temples or elves built in a Chinese manner. Up on the picture from left to right are the Qing Yinshi Gate in Hsinchu, a Matsu temple, and the Qing North Gate, a remnant of the Taipei Wall. Down on the picture is a temple in Tainan, a city in Taiwan. During the Japanese occupation, some constructions were influenced by the Japanese Empire, of course, but there were some leftovers of the Western colonization, which you can see on the left on the Taipei City Hall monument and on the right with the Taichung train station. Nowadays, you can still see some random Japanese influenced monuments, such as these ones. And finally, the Chinese monuments are among the most impressive and majestic of the history. Here you can see Chiang Kai-shek's gate and one of the CKS Hall. It is a very notorious place in Taipei, a beautiful one, which bears the name of a historical key figure, although controversial. The Chinese legacy left Taiwan with the Taipei Grand Hotel on the left and the wonderful and amazing National Palace Museum on the right. Two truly remarkable masterpieces with the extraordinary aesthetic quality of the Chinese cultural renaissance. So, we have been around the different typologies of architectures in Taiwan, and you are now familiar with the Taiwanese history a little bit. Let us get to a more specific aspect of the Taiwanese architecture, which is rich of the influences of the ancient architectures. An architect, it's a person who takes care of plans and drawings and directs the construction of buildings. I will now present to you the Chinese architect C Y Lee, whose marvelous works and accomplishments in the field constitute his brilliant portfolio. His most prominent works are in Taiwan, hence this introduction. So, his Chinese name is Li Ziyuan. He was born on the 31st of December in 1938 in Chiang, in the Chinese province of Guangdong. He now lives in Taiwan, where he received his bachelor's degree from National Cheng Kung University. He then got his master's from Princeton University in the US in architecture. In 1978, he created C Y Lee and Partners, architects planners. Among his major designs, C Y Lee participated in the great development of the monuments in Taiwan. He has 45 works in the country, 38 in China, and some others in Southeast Asia, and even in Los Angeles. Among his main works, he directed the design of Taipei 101, an impressive structure and the world's tallest skyscraper at the time of completion. He also directed the mapping and construction of Kaohsiung skyline, Kaohsiung being the largest port and industrial area of Taiwan in the southwest of the island. It is one of the biggest ports in the world, especially in the field of containers transportation. The Chantec Sky Tower is the second tallest skyscraper of the island and fits amazingly well in the local landscape, which is Kaohsiung's port. But we will get back to that. So I will present to you the major artworks of C Y Lee and the partners and architects and his company. So this is the World Trade Building of Kaohsiung. It was built in 1992. It is 221 meters high, and it received the 4th Excellent Stone Construction Award. So this is a bit between heaven and earth, because the client planned to construct a 50-story office building, which was an extremely new process never tried before at the time. Not only the height, but also the facade and function of the building were major issues. On the facade, we can observe the traditional Chinese pagoda, while the bamboo type of level division refers to the symbol of step-by-step growing development. While an occidental tower top is usually shaped like a man holding a sword toward the sky, the pagoda top is a contrast to that idea by representing an overturned ball shaped as if cradling the sky with both hands. The construction material of the building is, in order to adapt to the hot and rainy climate in Taiwan and the erosion from air pollution, a full granite curtain wall. Besides serving as a symbol of resistance to the climate, and therefore helping its durability, it also increases the service life of the building. So this is, as we call it, TNC Tower. It was built in 1999 in Kaohsiung. Its height is 408 meters. From the moment of its inception, the 85-story TNC Tower was conceived as a landmark for Taiwan. We can't help but noticing the unique design and the remarkable complexity of this notable building, deservingly called landmark of the country. From a professional standpoint, the project is a difficult yet rewarding task. The base of the high-rise were raised higher than other similar buildings in order to make way for a tunnel on the bottom, while a tower was placed on top. This is the Famen Temple in Shanxi. It's over 1700 years old, and it houses the holy fingerbone relics of the Sakyamuni Buddha. So it quickly became the cultural center of Buddhism of the 21st century. To express the essence of ancient religious culture through the use of modern architecture was a critical challenge for the design team. The Sarira Pagoda's design is quite interesting. Indeed, the design team chose the image of palms held together in prayer so as to form the Namaste Dagoba. The image of hands held together in prayer emphasized the people's need for spirituality and the pursuit of faith. The notion of blessing has a calming effect which procures the observer an emotional impact. Therefore, by using the gesture of praying hands as an architectural concept, the team came forward with spirit and devotion and successfully recreated a model for modern religious architecture. This project was presented to the Shanghai World Exposition in 2010. So the theme of the Shanghai World Exposition was Better City, Better Life. Taiwan both preserves and enhances Oriental culture. Western civilization, based on the concepts of duality and opposition, has created a highly rational and technological civilization. Eastern civilization, on the other hand, has as its cultural DNA the three elemental aspects of the universe: heaven, man, and earth, and has created a culture that emphasizes wisdom and harmonious living. In this production, the design team introduced the traditional Taiwan folk ritual of realizing sky lantern that you can see on the picture. They used the ritual spiritual aspects as the concept of mountain and water to represent the Taiwanese spirit of because of our hearts, Taiwan is large. The pavilion uses advanced technology to showcase a multimedia presentation on the outside of the main structure, creating diverse scenes including flying butterflies, ocean conservation, traditional Taiwanese floral patterns, environmental sustainability, and traditional folk art. This is the Yochi housing. It was built in 2016 in Taichung and received the Smart Building Award. For this masterpiece, the design team worked on the integration of the environment and came up with the concept of urban jade. Jade is an important instrument in ancient Chinese rituals. It is warm and lustrous, with rounded corners and well-defined contours. The outer square of its shape symbolizes the earth, and the inner circle symbolizes the sky, which is the intermediary between heaven and earth. Therefore, although the two 35-story towers are huge in size, the front facade is draped in glass to bring out the overall lightness and clarity of the building. On the top floor, they linked the two towers together to create a complete roof space. This is the Fengyuan Mansion. It was built in 2002 in Shenyang, in China. It received the first prize in design competition. This is a very special and important symbol. The merging of the square and circle, reminding us of the yin and yang, creating each other, indicates the depth of the city's culture. In fact, actually, it incorporates the traditional Chinese style to the Taiwanese architecture. It is a meaningful symbol. This style of architecture is distinct and recognizable. We may find it in other artworks, such as C Y Lee's most important creation, Taipei 101. It was built in 2004 and it's 508 meters high. It is an awards-winning masterpiece, such as the Grant Award in 2004, the Popular Science Best of What's New Award, the Gold Award in 2004 of the Emperor Skyscraper Award, the Special Award, and the 5th Far Eastern Architecture Award, etc., etc. The skyscraper of the Taiwanese capital makes me think of a link between the earth and the sky. With 8 floors as a peak and structural entity, Taipei 101 marches upward by stacking peak on peak. Its form was inspired by the bamboo joint, expressing upward progress and prosperous business. It is very usual in the Chinese and Taiwanese beliefs. Maybe the passionate of architecture will have noticed the commercial complex roof in the form of a phoenix tail, symbolizing good fortune and luck. Furthermore, at the sharp angles of the building, auspicious dragons were placed to dissipate the evil energy. So, all these artworks show the complexity of the Taiwanese architecture through the work of the Chinese architect C Y Lee. I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I enjoyed doing it. Thank you a lot for listening and watching, and I hope you found it to be quite interesting. Take care.